Welcome to the Religiously Offensive Podcast.
We just start. So how's everybody? How's y'all? Actually, we've been talking all day, so we're just going to pretend.
Do you want to leave that Halo music going in the background?
Yeah, I don't hear it. Do you hear it in the
I
headphones?
hear it. Well, maybe just like through the, maybe not through the mic, but.
Okay. All right.
Probably just close this door.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Justin. Thank you, Justin. There was, well, someone sent me the, Justin, that video I showed you today, I was going to it was the awkward, sermons. Have you heard that? You've heard those. Yeah. We were just talking about it, but like, in case anyone hasn't who's listening, there was a hilarious one that someone sent to me. And okay, here we go. Let me put this on.
Sermons you can't unhear.
Awkward sermons
Part
you can't
32.
unhear.
And so when Mary conceived Jesus, how did she conceive him? Well, she conceived him through her ear.
Your ear?
Not through her vagina.
Awkward sermons you can't unhear.
It's like, what?
Not through her vagina.
Yeah, he's basically trying to say that she listened to God, and then that's how she got pregnant.
So he fucked her ear?
Well, that's why it's awkward.
The seed has to be laid somewhere. The seed was through the ear?
Impregnated her by his cosmic powers through her hearing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's fun. What an icebreaker.
That's hilarious.
I know. It's so funny.
And that's a legit, that's legit.
That's a legit sermon, yeah. I mean, people are always trying to find different ways to say things, because a lot of times it's like people have heard the same stuff over and over. So you try to find different ways to relate and different things, and sometimes it just doesn't translate real well.
Bro,
yeah, apparently.
Oh my gosh, I can't even talk about it, but there's so many funny memes of Kenneth Copeland. Have you ever seen any of those?
Oh, dude, the COVID one's my favorite.
That one's great, but there's
the rock and roll or the
there's
heavy
another
metal
one
one.
about wait, are you talking about the one that was like when you lose your virginity or something like that?
No, this was like the one where he's praying against COVID, and it's just like the heavy metal dude in the background.
Yeah. There's this one, it's like a video. I forget exactly what the problem was, but it's something along the lines of like losing your virginity, and like you just can't unsee it.
So funny, people.
Yeah.
Here's one more. Here's one more. This was another one I showed this Justin too.
You die for them, so they don't have to carry shame, or.
I mean,
Hey,
that's great.
it could have been a Freudian slip. That might have been what he was really thinking.
He absolutely meant that. What he meant. So funny.
That's great.
Anyway, yeah. So what's the stuff we're doing now? PrizePicks. You guys are into PrizePicks still. Speaking of,
yeah.
See, I knew this would come up. That's why I
wonder
just said it.
if the Mitchell expired that fast, there's no way it expired that fast. It could have.
Oh, today's
maybe it's
taco
fate.
day.
Recently. Oh, so this would be a religiously offensive topic.
Let's do it.
Sports gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the predicament. So we each put in $100 because they would match. It's like an app, right? Use it.
PrizePicks.
Sports
gambling is not legal in Florida, but PrizePicks player props.
Shout out, use code NetProfits for.
Yeah, find our email on our website if you need any free picks. We'll give you a link to the Discord.
Yeah, you use our discount code; it'll do a deposit match.
So yeah, so I'm like, I spend money on stupid things all the time.
Because Donovan Mitchell's out today.
Oh, is he? Yeah, that makes more sense. But yeah, they do this thing where if they'll match your first deposit like up to $100. So do that. And then if anyone else signs up with your stuff, you get like 25 free bucks, whatever. And so I put in the 100, got it matched, and then also did it on Erica's phone, got the match, and then the referral code. So we put in that initially. So $200 total was invested, but the accounts are probably at like, I had a tough night last night, so we're probably sitting at like 800 right now.
Sounds about right.
But it's like you spend $200 and it's at 800.
You put no more money in.
I've put more money in. But I'm saying even
I have put a little more in.
I'm saying like even with the money I've put in, just like the difference, I'm still up.
Right.
So where have you? Yeah. So you were. So to say like where have you guys netted?
I'm probably around $800, $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm probably maybe 450, 5. Depending on what happens tonight.
Shoot, I have to take a call real quick. Can you guys talk about PrizePicks some more? Just explain. I'm sorry.
Sure can.
Justin, continue to explain.
So it's just it's an app where you basically you do individuals though instead of like teams. So
why don't we just take this time to trash talk any people that missed last night? Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, we got problems with you, brother. You better stop fouling.
Yeah, stop getting into that.
And your coach needs to grow some cojones and leave you on the court.
Yeah. 2 fouls. I mean, 3 in the first half is when you pull them for sure, like for good.
It's trash.
And he ended up with 6 rebounds. He would have hit it easily if he had the minutes.
But the best part about all of this is that this was a world completely like unknown to Gabby.
Oh, I had no idea who any of these guys were before.
No idea.
I knew LeBron James, Steph
LeBron
Curry,
James.
LeBron James.
And then now it's
I know every single one.
I'm getting texts like, hey, yo, Christian Wood's out the game. Jaren Jackson's a lock at like 7 p.m. And I'm running to my phone just like, let's get it in.
And it should have been a lock. I let us down with that one. Or he let us down. I didn't do shit.
Ain't right. But yeah, so the strange predicament, because it's like gambling just on its face is like just most Christians would consider it a sin. But it's like,
why do you think that is though? Because your money should be going towards good things.
So I think that would be their argument.
Like greed, technically.
Yeah, so I think that would be their argument. But then I'd just be like, so why'd you buy the nicer car? Like, why don't you just go get like a 95 Honda Civic and pay in cash for $1,500 and then give away all that other money? It's like people just love to point at other people and get mad about how they spend their money.
They ignore the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just, they've got to realize they're doing it. You want to try and give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, maybe they're just not realizing it. The same thing.
Yeah. And I know we talked about it on one of the earlier episodes because we did like an actual, I think, whole episode on gambling, but I don't remember who brought it up, but someone made the point. It was really good. And they said like, I might've been Nate actually. I think he was on that one.
Oh yeah.
And he said something about like, you think about it, like our whole life is like, we're gambling with our time.
I remember this.
We're investing our times in places. And honestly, most of us are probably making bad choices with that.
For sure.
So it's like so easy for people to just look at.
I'm doing this podcast right now.
Yeah. I have emails technically unread. Yeah. So it's just a funny thing because it's like a taboo thing. It's like once you tell people, they're just like, oh.
Yeah. They're like, are you addicted yet?
You're like, what's next? Strippers in Vegas?
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like there's probably other things that I'm more addicted to than gambling for sure.
Yeah.
Coffee. Definitely more addicted to coffee.
Yeah.
Dang. I should probably answered that call, but I can call them back.
Leave that VM, baby.
Just let that thing fill up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people ignore that when their voicemails get full.
Well, because doesn't it tell you like when you're at 90% and 95%?
Well, it's like, you see all those messages on your voicemail. Who doesn't delete? Do you delete them like as you listen to them or?
Yeah, usually.
After a while?
Yeah. Yeah, every now and then I'll kind of let them build up for a sec, but I'm rarely ever will get to a point where it's like I get the 95% full notification. Yeah. But all the time I'm calling people and it's like
voicemail box is full. Goodbye.
You know the annoying part is that like it sends you through the whole like post like ring thing. It's like if I can't leave a voicemail, just burp.
Yeah.
Just cut me off. Also, why don't we have a feature on our phones yet that allow us to like send a voicemail, but not like now, you know?
Oh, like,
'Cause, you know, if you like just
I don't want them to know
decline the
that
call,
I ignored it.
Yeah.
But
because it's like if you decline
I
a
also
call,
want this to go off my
it's
screen.
like they know I declined their call. Maybe it's the whole thing about like,
yeah.
is it a dick move to like not, because it's like, you know, how people will have like the red receipts on.
Yeah. So they say that it's like unprofessional to have the red receipts off.
Right. But then you just can't read it.
Yeah. I leave them off.
I leave them off. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just like, bro.
I'm either responding or I'm not.
Yeah.
You really want to know if I read it and I'm not responding?
We live in some stupid times where like
Everyone's
150
such a pussy nowadays.
150 years ago, you had to get on your horse or run
Everyone's so
to
sensitive.
come tell me something. And now it's like, I get a text and like, it's amazing how people will just get offended if you don't respond within like a couple hours.
I know. I mean, because I do that all the time where like I mean to respond to somebody and I just like, I get distracted so easily and I'll just like put my phone down and then I'll forget to ever respond to them until like I go to text them hours later and I'm like, oh, I forgot to respond to that.
You know, the worst is like the people that'll text you and you just won't respond, whether you don't see it or you just have other things going on or you're just going to get to it later. And then you get a follow-up text.
I'd be like, hey, did you
And
get my
you're just
text?
like, I'm just like, in my mind, I'm just like, if someone hasn't responded to me, I'm not going to just text them again.
I feel like I do that with Nathan. Like I'll text him about like maybe
If it's work
maybe
related,
it's different with work
that's
related. I just know he's so busy. I'll text him and like I'll wait a couple hours, be like, hey, or I'll like try to catch him and just say
that's
it in
fair.
person.
That's fair. Yeah, because usually I guess we do it though, because I call people like every other day if I need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's different with work for sure.
Yeah.
But I get what you're
Interesting.
saying.
Sorry about that. Anyway.
I'll give.
Yeah. You guys probably just have never ending things to say bad about people that don't meet their lines. So
No, for sure.
you guys could talk all day about it. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
You see,
Repress
Jean Morant
most of
is out indefinitely. He's like going to like counseling in
rehab
Florida.
place, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because like there's all these pictures
Did you
that
see that
surface.
photo of him at the strip club and the whole floor, like the bar top, the whole floor is covered in bills. And he's just like, he's either getting a lap dance or he's fucking this stripper. And all you see is just like her ass in the air and money everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Probably both.
Probably
crazy.
both. But
I just saw something.
and they said he didn't even drink that night. Like
well, that was
there
his,
was
like,
just money everywhere.
well, they had to say he didn't drink because he had the
Oh.
gun on him.
Oh yeah.
So in Colorado, he was legally allowed to have the gun, but he's not allowed to carry if he's drinking.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
same way like in Ohio and here too, I think.
yeah.
So like, you really think he didn't have a drink
All right.
in that environment? You're just gonna be stone cold sober
They
with
pay-
a gun?
They paid that guy to be like, hey, bro.
Like, I don't buy that for 2 seconds, but I also understand plausible deniability.
What an idiot, though.
Uh-huh.
You're making so, like, why are you throwing away your career, bro?
It is. I mean, it's a funny thing. It's just like young people who get money and fame, and what they decide to do with it, unfortunately, often goes in that direction.
Sad.
Yeah.
'Cause he's really good, too. Like, he's not
Really
just
good.
like, I mean, he was like the star of their team.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for people in the church world.
But their team's been turning up without him. They're like,
Well, money and
we're
fame
not going down.
Mm-hmm.
corrupts.
No, that's
That's
very
funny.
true.
Oh, so have you listened to any good sermons lately, Justin?
Some good spiritual podcasts.
Yeah,
maybe.
spiritual podcasts. Tell us about those. What have you been learning?
What about you? Have you?
Yeah. I mean,
Throw it back.
I've heard some, but I don't know, nothing memorable. See that, and I don't know. I get into this, and it's probably cynical, but I get into this like all the stuff I've heard before, just said different ways.
Yeah.
Right.
And
There's
so I'm like-
repackaging. Yeah.
So I'm like, what? I don't know. I guess some of it's like good reminders of like, things that are, good to like do, but some of it's just like, all right, well, I've heard this before, it's just, and then it's just weird. Cause probably not a good thing, but you kind of turn off, you just kind of shut it. Like you start to just ignore some stuff.
Yeah. Because I think there's one aspect of like education where it's like, it's good to hear things, but it's like, if all you ever, we've talked about this a million times, if all you ever do is just go and listen to other people's revelation over and over and over again, I mean, it's never gonna, it's like, not to be too churchy or Christian, but it's like what was it? The seeds grown or thrown on the rocks or whatever. And it's like, at some point, if you don't deal with like your own self and like the quote unquote soil of your heart, like all these words and things that you hear and read and, you know, whatever, it's like, nothing's going to happen with it. Like, it's like, if you don't take the time to really go inside and like face your demons before, because all this stuff, it's like, 99% of people hear these things and they're like, yeah, of course it makes sense to not throw rocks from a glass house. Yet we all do it constantly. Like, that's what we were talking about with the gambling thing while you were on the phone. It's just like people who would crap on people for sports betting. It's like, well, you could have like gone and bought like a 95 Honda Civic for like $1,500 instead of having a, $1,000 a month like car payment. Now it's like, and I think that's the difference. It's like no judgment. Like, you get to do what you want to do with like what you've earned. But it's like, it's funny how when it's reversed, it's like, oh, gambling's sinful. It's like, that ain't right. You shouldn't be doing that with your money. I'm just like, well, I could probably follow you around for a week and give you a whole ass list of things you shouldn't be doing with your money. But hey, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, there was someone that came recently and talked about, stuff like, for some reason, it's always the Starbucks. Starbucks always comes up because it is an absurd amount of money to pay for a cup of coffee. Like, right? Like, you get your little thing that barely has any coffee in it. It's like $7. But, people talk about like, okay, well, is that being a good steward of your resources and stuff? And I've just seen some pastors with some baller ass houses. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, well, where do you draw the line?
A lot of them got nice houses.
Yeah. And nice cars. And I mean, this is the thing. And, their wives have, some work done. But it's just like, where do you draw the line? Cause like some people would say it's like not being a good steward. And then some people would also, like, other people would say like, well, like me, I would say, I choose to budget in a way where I want to enjoy my overpriced cup of coffee, whatever. Right. And I drive a Honda Civic or whatever, you're going to say. Cause then there's some people that decide, they don't care as much about food or beverage or whatever. Yeah. And they'll just be like, all right, well, I want to pay money for this video game subscription that I get this new thing all the time because that's what I enjoy doing, So it's like, it's hard because it's kind of a judgment on what people enjoy doing and putting their money into rather than like a realistically, let's just take a look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's like some people just take vacations all the time. I mean, that ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Either. So there's all kinds of stuff you spend your money on that kind of goes under that like Christian radar.
Yeah. I think part of the challenge too with like the spiritual life is like, it's easy to get involved in organization or a movement. And the emphasis just becomes like the group and not the individual. And not that that's inherently bad, but the problem with that is like, look at what happens, like even with our country with like taxes. It's like everyone's trying to figure out a way to pay less taxes. Everyone wants the government to fix someone else's problem. It's just like, you just put a little money into the pot and then you're like, all right, now you guys fix everything. And it like, I think part of the issue with that is like, I think the most impactful experiences people will have is like when you actually give up your time and your resources and you go and like you give the money to that person or you like help them figure out their life. Like, it's like when so much of the emphasis is taken off the individual, it's like even with this whole thing with the gambling or any other issue, it's like what I wish, like, and I actually don't even care really, because it's like the more that I've gone inside and really just worked these things out personally, it's like each person, and I guess in like Christian terms, each person should go through the work of developing that relationship with the Holy Spirit. And like, that should be like your convicting voice. or your conviction, not like what the pastor says on the stage or what someone else says because they've been a Christian longer than you, or even what you read in the Bible. Like, it's like it developed that relationship with the God in you. And it's like, that should be your guiding light. And I think we've gotten so far away from that. Just people don't want to do that, because that is hard, because that, like, when you put the mirror up, you're like, wow, like there's a whole lot of things I'm doing that I probably need to change or that aren't really benefiting me. And it's easier to just go to a place and put some money in the offering plate and then just out of sight, out of mind, not think about it. But it's like when you're forced to really go inside. That's why I love like Aaron Rodgers just did. So he did ayahuasca. That whole thing was the whole thing. And then he just did a darkness retreat like a month ago, which he basically just went away and for 4 straight days, not like just like dark. It was like absolute black. You can't see a thing. And so
you're
like
just like in a room or something?
Yeah, you're in this little like area where you have like a bathroom, and like I think somehow they get you your food, and you decide what kind of diet you want to do or whatever. But he just talked about how it's just like once you can't see, and it's like you have to only think about like your thoughts, and you just have to go inside. It's like it's a different world.
Imagine telling your pastor you're going on a darkness retreat.
I'm going to meet the Dark Lord with my lightsaber. I'm going to conquer that beast.
What is that? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because it's like, it's funny because when you watch like mainstream media, or when you watch a lot of like sports analysts talk about it, like most of them just like laugh it off, and they think it's just like some ridiculous gimmick, and it's just like someone needs to get this man a shrink or something like that. And you're like, it's so funny how we're so quick to criticize someone who's actually trying to like be thoughtful and go inside and become introspective and really think about like the next, because the reason he did it was he's trying to figure out if he's going to retire or keep playing. And he was trying to get some sense of guidance or whatever.
What's funny is I think the lack of open-mindedness is really annoying on every side. Like, you talk about Christian, non-Christian, whatever. I think a lot of those people that are probably giving him harsh criticism are also people who are insecure and kind of almost wish that they did something like that. Like they probably but think like, okay, I have coworkers, my wife, like no one would ever understand if I did this. So it's like, I may as well just criticize this guy. We always feel like, and I feel like this way a lot with Christians and like atheists, because I put them on separate ends of the spectrum. Like I don't like agnostic people are kind of like the centrists, like, like libertarians, like they're not on either side. Most scientists are agnostic. But atheists, like usually it's because of like a lot of church hurt or like, whatever. They are just vehemently against anything related to God or religion or anything. So it's like they're always butting heads, and it's like something that someone posts, like you can choose to ignore it or you can choose to attack those people. And like a lot of those people attack people, and then like it's like a gang thing where like some more people attack more. Right. It's usually people on their side. And it's like it makes people feel good when they can jump on the bandwagon and start throwing the stones with the group. Yeah. And it like validates them and makes them feel like they believe the right thing. Right. Right. So if they were by themselves and literally no one else believed that, right. Would you have such a strong conviction? Like this goes for someone who believes in a God, doesn't believe in a God. But if you just told a Christian like, hey, you're the only one in the world who believes this, would you still believe it? Is your conviction really that strong, or you do it because other people do it? So it's like the same thing with atheism. It's like, would you really believe this? Or is it like literally if you were the only one on the island, you would say, yes, this is what I would definitely believe. So it's like, but it goes with anything. I just feel like people just love to, I don't know. I mean, validate themselves for other people. It's kind of stupid.
But just also,
we all do it to a degree, like, right? Like, I get it.
For sure. But think about it. Over thousands and thousands of years, humans have evolved and have succeeded and thrived because of tribalism. Yeah. Because it's like, now we just live in a new age of it where it's not your physical health, but it's your mental health for the most part. Not to say certain people are at least in America, but it's like, So in the same sense, like hundreds of years ago, you just stick with your tribe because that gives you your best chance of survival, best chance of health. Now we live in this world where your physical health really isn't in danger for the most part. And so on your day-to-day life, it's like, who can I be around? And before it used to be, it was very just, these people look like me. I feel like I can trust them, right? Like that's, I think, where a lot of like the systemic and just kind of like hundreds of years of like racism just always perpetuated the planet, because it's just like, what happens if like, let's say you're like lighter skin, or okay, let's say you're like darker skin, and then like for the slave trade, and white people show up and just start shooting people and like figure out a way to convince people to sell them your people. It's like, of course, you're just going to like hate something that's other. Yeah. And it's because it's just like, I don't understand it. But all I know is like, these people showed up, they look different, and they don't want to be nice. They don't want to help us. They literally want to kill us or enslave us. Yeah. And so it's like hundreds of years of evolution has trained us like to just be like concerned or weary of like other. And that doesn't necessarily mean like skin color. It's the same thing with like religion. It's just like, we huddle together and people who believe the same things as us. And so that's why, like, to your point, I think the open-mindedness is, in my opinion, the most important thing that we're really missing, I feel like, in our culture, where it's just like, I think religion by nature gives people a sense of not like entitlement, but a sense of like, I figured it out. I don't need to search anymore. So it's like you naturally close your mind. And then we also tell you like, it's dangerous to open your mind up to like Buddhist teachings or like any other type of teachings that isn't just Christianity.
So you would say like, that most people in that boat are being religious? We say racist, religious. Is there a word? Is there a word for that?
Maybe not oppressive. I think it's just human nature. I think it's just, and the hard part is I think a lot of people come and it comes from a good place. But it's just, they think that by someone opening up their mind, now they're going to go to somewhere dangerous and they're not going to be safe anymore. And then it's like, I don't know. Like when I think about all like the dope people in history, it's like none of them had like safe lives. Like, it's great to create this beautiful bubble wrap life for your kid. But it's just like, you can either prepare your kid for a dangerous road, or you can try to make the road safe and then not really prepare your kid to do anything but drive a safe road. And that's kind of a separate example, but it's like adventure and danger. It's like inherently like, I think people should have to wrestle with that stuff. Because that's why I think it's like, once you've wrestled with it and you've landed somewhere, then you really have that conviction to like actually live that life. But when you just like kind of grow up and you live in it, you never have to really like struggle or fight for it or go outside of it. It's just kind of like it's there, but then you're also looking at all the other shiny toys and you're like, that kind of looks fun. And they told me I'm not allowed to do it, but I kind of want to do it. Yeah.
Don't we all? Generally when you talk about the kid thing, I generally get annoyed when people say they don't want to have kids because they don't want to bring them into this world. I get so annoyed. I'm like, if that's what people had thought when the world was actually bad, you wouldn't be here. You know, I mean, it's so ignorant. And I mean, it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, so what you're meaning to say is you don't actually want to bring a kid into a world that you don't feel like you can control and keep them safe. Like in the way you want to control and keep them safe. It's just like, you're missing out, you know? I mean, so it is tough. Cause I've thought about that too. It's just like, how easy do you make your kids' lives? You know, I mean,
well, I also wonder too, like because of like what's happened with smartphones and like the internet and our ability to just share news so fast.
You say like, share nudes?
Also like that news.
Oh, okay.
And nudes. All the above. But it's like, I think about now the way that we would play as kids, and like, it would just be, if a parent let a kid play the way that I played, it would be like, they would call like social services on my parents.
Yeah, you'd be on the news.
And it's like, my question is like, has the world really changed that much, or have our eyes just been open to those crazy stories that like they're super uncommon, but it's like now we can see them more. They're sensationalized. Like we make Netflix documentaries about them. So we all watch them. And now it's just like, you can't ever play anywhere unless I see you because I watched a Netflix documentary and they're everywhere. Like, hide your kids, hide your wife. Like, they're out here, they're raping everybody, right? And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know the data. I guess like if someone wants to present some research that says like the world is really that much more dangerous, maybe, I don't know. But I just feel like part of it is,
I don't think it is. I think we're more aware.
There's
of
just
things.
more fear.
We're more aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is ignorance is bliss kind of thing, you know? Like I was telling you, it's like, dude, I am like so happy to not live in a place where like I have to worry about, you know, watching my kids get beheaded or something. You know what I mean? Like,
That's very true.
I'm just like, dude, our basic needs are met. Like, granted, like we have stress and all that, you know, our human minds just like, I think require of us to like have some kind of motivation or keep going sometimes, but we really don't have that. Like, I just, you know, sometimes you just like want to just go somewhere and just get a renewed sense of like a perspective of how good we actually have it.
Yeah.
It is apparent when you go to some countries, but yeah, it is. Yeah. It's kind of nuts.
Should go to Joshua Tree, camp out for a couple of days.
Yeah. I would like to just do a retreat, period.
That'd be sick.
I'd love to do like
Like the redwoods or something.
ooh.
That'd be sick.
There's also this
Can you
sick
camp around
Havasu
redwoods?
Falls. I don't know.
Because
Havasu Falls in have you ever seen that?
Oh, in Arizona?
Havasu Falls in Arizona? Oh my gosh. It looks like it's like out of a movie. It's so
we can
epic.
work on the road. Should we just like rent a van and like go
Jeez.
road tripping?
Sprinter van, one of those outfitted ones.
Yeah.
Like the is that like one of those waterfalls? It looks like it just goes into nothing. Like it's just it's super tall.
Yeah, it's like a super long hike to get back in there. It's real remote, and then once you're in there, it's just the most beautiful like water, like bright blue water basin, and this waterfall, just like big waterfall.
Sometimes I wonder how like amazing some of these places are that barely anyone really gets to see because they think it's like remote and like dangerous animal, like Amazon. Like I can imagine how many amazing views you'd see in the Amazon, but then no one really goes in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just, it'd be so cool.
it's nuts.
That's why I
dude.
want to fly helicopters, but
Yeah, the Amazon thing is crazy because you're just like,
oh yeah.
you could just stumble upon a tribe. Like I heard a story, dude, just cannibalistic tribe, and they were just like,
Oh my God.
boom, gone.
Not to mention, like there are some like
Because I think they came in on a plane, and like for whatever
There's just
reason,
a cannibalistic tribe just chilling in the Amazon.
well, there's still all these tribes in the Amazon that live like in the jungle, and it's like,
hard to like grasp that that's
yeah.
real.
I don't even know how they survive,
Right?
honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen
well,
things from the Amazon, like animals and bugs and like bugs that are like as big as this little console thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it would be like dinosaur times.
well, that's
You're
like,
just
that's the whole
what?
cataclysm theory. It's like there's a theory that throughout history, tons of time, there have just been these massive cataclysms that have happened that have wiped out almost all Earth or all life on the Earth, and it's like the comfortable people in the cities, like they're not the ones surviving. It's like those crazy MFers in the jungle that like know how to survive, like on the land, that like survive and make it through, but super primitive. And then like it resets all technology because it's like they don't understand technology.
Mhm.
And so it's like there's this thing where it's like if there's a worldwide cataclysm and most life dies, it's the strongest survive, and usually the strongest aren't like the technologically, savvy people advancing, culture in that sense.
What if we are the cataclysm?
I also learned that an ice age doesn't really mean that there's ice everywhere. It literally just has something to do with the ratio of ice to water. So there's still like green everywhere
Oh yeah.
in most of the world.
It just means probably just means that over 50% is water.
And and here's the crazy part, because when that much more ice freezes and the oceans get lower, because they obviously are freezing at the poles.
Yeah.
Right. So the oceans get
land
lower.
mass comes
Now we have
into
more
existence.
land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they melt and then land disappears.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because they talk about, I mean, Florida should have been underwater by now, right? I mean, according to Inconvenient Truth back in the 2000s.
Oh, because Miami is what, like 9 feet above sea level?
Not very much. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, no, so it's just, it's very, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of like people are very alarmist. Like they like to grab onto these narratives and be like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's a hilarious clip of like, what's that dude's name? Something Pena. Real wealthy investor guy. Something Pena always wears like suit ties and like whatever. And he was doing some forum and some lady was asking about global warming and he just lost it. He's like one of those old guys that you can tell just like for no reason has way too much anger in his heart. And then like at any like well-meaning question, he just loses it and starts freaking out.
from Miami, you said? Or
No,
it's
not
just
necessarily from
a
Miami.
random dude. Okay.
It's something Pena. Pena, and he's just a real wealthy guy. He's like a
Sure.
Dan Pena, maybe? I don't know. But
Probably what he had to do to survive.
But there's this clip where this lady's talking about global warming and he just totally poops on her. And he's basically just like, you don't understand, like the people that are investing hundreds of millions and billions of dollars into shorefront property all throughout Florida. Like if there was a genuine chance.
The $1 trillion man.
Dan Pena?
Yeah.
There it is. But it's just like, if there was even this much of a chance that the waters were going to raise and that was just, that whole investment was just going to go down the toilet. Like you don't think, like he was like, that's included in like the investment or whatever report that you get like up front. And it's just like, if that was a real problem, like we were actually going to like be gone. I guess we're all gone in 12 years. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I would say it's like, I probably wouldn't even care because I have insurance. You would think that there'd be insurance with that. I mean, some properties on the coast are uninsurable though. They won't insure.
Well, that's the thing is like with hurricane insurance, all that stuff.
Yeah. Some houses are uninsurable in Florida.
Yeah.
Whether it's like hurricanes, sinkholes.
Just like how, depending on how close they
It's
are
too
to
dangerous.
water or what?
Yeah. I mean, now like there are a lot of houses that just cannot get insurance in Central Florida because of that hurricane last year.
Really?
Because of the flooding.
Dang.
It's
Like if you're in a bad floodplain, it's just going to happen over and over and over again. And no insurance company wants to deal with those.
yeah,
Makes
no,
sense.
more and more insurance companies are leaving Florida, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's becoming real expensive to live here. Not to mention all the like shady roofing companies that are just like, oh, what? You got a little shingle out of place? Looks like you need a new roof.
Dude,
Yeah.
They got me.
I'm
My insurance
stay
almost
around.
dropped me.
Not buying a house.
Oh yeah, no. If you get a new roof and it, under insurance, you're likely to get dropped. I mean, like you won't. Which is why I'm like, if I ever need a new roof, I'd just get on a payment plan. Like I would pay out of pocket. Like I'd never.
Get that solar roof.
Yeah, Tesla solar roof
That'd be so sick.
would be cool. It's so behind in like production though. I mean,
It is sad. They did like just come out with so many dope products and they just didn't have the bandwidth to actually bring it to market.
that's kind of Elon's thing though. He kind of just does what is he feels like either the most passionate about or what's an easier path forward.
Is that intentional though? Because if he doesn't put out all these crazy products, like no one's buying Tesla stock like that. Like it's like most people, it's like the future. Like this guy is like actually figuring out a way to,
Yeah, now there's like a
Bridge the
bunch of
gap.
people that won't buy Teslas because of whatever.
which is hilarious. He's just like, I stand for free speech. And then everyone's just like, you right wing piece of shit. He's like, I'm liberal. I don't know what you're talking
He
about.
was this dude that like, yeah, really like pioneered and brought forth this idea, of electric cars to the mainstream, really. The electric cars were in production, but it was like, the Honda,
You made it popular.
that one that had like the back wheels covered. It was the goofiest looking car.
Oh, it was hideous.
Yes, I forget.
That was him?
Called. No. I'm saying those kind of things existed, but like electric cars really weren't electric cars the way they are now before
Right.
Tesla. So
100%.
but the thing, like, and he still like talks about it's not good to put all CO2 in the atmosphere. Like he, talks about that and all that stuff. And it's just because of all this politicizing of like the Twitter thing and
I've
all
also
the
heard-
stuff. It's just the way he treated people with COVID, like his employees, like he didn't close down or whatever. It's just like people just get also like.
So I've also heard a counter argument, and not necessarily for putting more CO2 in the atmosphere, but it was basically just saying like when the earth was actually like covered in vegetation, the the atmosphere had way more CO2 in it because it's like that's what they breathe. Like plants breathe CO2.
I've also wondered that.
And breathe out oxygen. We breathe in oxygen and breathe out CO2. So it's like the more CO2 is in the atmosphere, the more the plants can breathe and give us more oxygen.
So what?
I don't know. I'm just saying it's like we live in this world where we've just been told for so long that it's just like carbon emissions are the devil.
Well,
CO2
you know
is the
what?
devil.
No. So it wouldn't, the more vegetation, the more oxygen there would be.
Well, wouldn't both increase?
No, because the population's gone up. If you're really talking about CO2, like I wonder how much a car puts out compared to a human every day, like breathing. You just breathe. You know?
I wonder how many cars are on the planet versus how many people are on the planet.
I bet there's more cars than people.
No.
I think so.
Like think about all those people in like India. Not that like they don't have cars in India.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't all run anymore.
But even in America,
saying, like,
most families you're gonna have 5 people to 2 cars.
I guess
there's not that many people that have 2 cars per person.
How many cars have you had in your life though? It's been a few.
Yeah, but I'm not driving more than one at a time.
Yeah.
So I
those went somewhere.
And even if I did have 2 cars, I can only drive one at a time, and only one would be emitting.
I feel like one of us is about to be put in our place here.
I don't know.
Gabby's looking.
I feel like we're just like I just brain effed myself.
That just says in United States and New Zealand, it's 0.9 vehicles for every person, so it's like about one per person. There's not necessarily.
But are those the highest too?
Yeah, it says 2 major countries are virtually tied for the most vehicles per capita in the world.
Well,
so even the most cars are still not even one to one.
How many cars exist in the world?
I don't know.
Say that, and then look up the world population. This is something we need to answer.
So I think this is what we actually need to figure out how to do. We need to figure out what to do with all of our
vehicle
old cars and waste.
That they don't have anything other than registrations. But
okay.
The world
that have ever
you got like junkyards and stuff.
Just say that
world total registrations. That just can't be right.
What is it?
It's only 1.5 million.
Okay,
that can't be right.
Something we're clearly not going to answer today, Justin. don't
I feel like that's a dub.
Don't consider that a victory.
It's vehicle registrations, not all vehicles.
All right, I may not have prefaced that as well as I could. But
bro, I saw someone make a car out of.
That can't be right.
I saw someone make a car out of like drinking straws or something in Africa.
That says the world.
All right.
This is world total.
But we have 330 million people here.
There's
no chance. There's at least 1-to-1 in this country. Like, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
There's no way.
Yeah, I would think.
Now I'm like,
okay,
but I am going back in my head now.
There are 290.8 million cars in the U.S. as of September 2022. This number includes all vehicles, including cars, SUVs, vans, and other medium and heavy duty vehicles that were registered. So 290.8 million.
And our population is what, 330, 340?
Yeah, you might be right. But what the picture of my head just went to like all those like the people in India that ride on the back of those. There's be like 30 people on one truck. I'm like, yeah.
It's got like the wooden beams across, like on the inside and the outside.
Yeah, maybe I should reconsider my position. Yeah. But yeah, so that's interesting.
I also saw this.
Oh, Kyle, thank Kyle. There are 1.
Shout out Kyle.
1.446
He's like our Jamie.
billion cars in the world.
Yeah, I'm still wrong.
But how many people are in the world? Way more.
Almost 8 billion.
Yeah, it's tons.
Yeah.
I also saw this crazy clip.
Registered vehicles. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, but
thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, how many cars are having babies though? We don't talk about it.
How many cars are having babies? You say?
All right. Yeah.
Defending one, JJ.
What were you saying?
I saw this. So now we can dive into some conspiracy theory waters.
I think we're almost out of time.
It's very short.
Okay.
There's really nothing to talk about because it's just so wild. Okay. I can show you the clip or send it to you.
Love it.
But there's this clip of the lady that used to nanny Elon Musk, and she said at times she would go up and hear like these crazy sounds coming out of his room, and she would look in, and she was like, the only way I can explain is it looked like he was like opening up portals to like other dimensions, and he would like scatter his like.
I knew something like this was happening.
No, this is why Elon's an alien.
All right, we're happy to be back with you guys. We'll see you next week.
I'll send you the clip. I just think this stuff's hilarious. Hey, stay open-minded, right?
Yeah.
I'll have to start doing this for Doyle.
You never
R.I.P.
know.
by the way. I mean, not really.
What?
Rest in power.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Bye-byes.